Sourdough Sam.
No, Sourdeath Sam.
Sourdeath Sam.
Sourdeath Sam.
Sourdeath Sam.
Disrespect to Sourdeath Sam will not continue.
What's up, everybody? What's going on? Very happy to be here right now. Very happy. And I'll tell you why. Because the show goes on. For those who don't know, my name is Sourdeath Sam. And for those unfamiliar, this is a show loosely about the 49ers. And speaking of the 49ers, very happy to say we pulled off what I would say was a victory I wasn't sure we were going to get. Final score 24-21 against the Packers, a team that is very young, very talented, and very likely to make noise down the road. They put up a fight, and I had a feeling they would. For those who tuned in last week, I had friend of the show, Rich Madrid. And we both agreed that this was not a team to sleep on. And that theme continues. I think this Lions team is going to put up a very fine test. I think as far as NFC teams go, this was sort of the matchup I was anticipating at the end of the day, because obviously the Cowboys didn't put up much of a fight. The Eagles were imploding. But we have a team in the Lions that is capable of putting up points. Their passing attack is very strong, and Jahmyr Gibbs is starting to get into a groove. So we're going to see what we have in store. But I will say this. As far as the game was concerned that we played against the Packers, it was sort of a tale of two different Brocks, and obviously the circumstances of our defense being sort of vulnerable to the conditions at first, slipping and sliding. It took us a while, I feel, to really get into a groove, which felt unusual because we were at home. So what I will say is that if we are going to factor in any variable that could take things off the track a little bit, it's going to be rain. That's not an excuse. There were certainly errors that looked purely mental on Brock's part, but in case you missed the last quarter of the game, we didn't get to the finish line without Brock either. So I'm very excited to see what happens this Sunday. I'm a little nervous to see what happens this Sunday, but I still hold the faith that we have the opportunity to keep this train rolling. We got Rory Roberge in the house. Hey, Jason. Speaking of Hey, Jason, we got Jason Aponte coming on the show here shortly. Very excited for that. Very excited for that. But before we get into that, I'm going to give you guys some of my thoughts on how to tame a lion. Is that okay with you guys?
Yes.
All right, I guess we'll just fucking do it. So, I wrote this children's book. It's called How to Tame the Lions. As you can tell, I got Brock Purdy as the son. If anyone's watched Teletubbies, you know what the vibe is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Step one is we've got to win the turnover battle. Jared Goff is a little too confident right now, and I don't like that. One way to get under his skin is to intercept some motherfucking passes. If we can get a fumble, that's great. But considering how our defense played against the Packers, a nice, even one interception, I think, would do wonders to help tame the Lions. Second way to tame a lion, efficient passing. Look, let's be honest. When the 49ers are in a groove, when we are executing in a way where we are moving the chains, where we are eating up the clock, where we are dominating possessions, that's awesome. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey, take that to the bank, rushing title winner. But if our passing game can execute at a high level, that is what I'm interested in seeing. That is how we can help tame the Lions. And number 3, no explosives, por favor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The thing we don't need is Amon-Ra St. Brown running around safety's horse, slipping all over themselves, 60 yards to a touchdown. We need to contain. We need to make sure we are playing discipline. We need to make sure we're not giving up too much. Because this game feels so evenly matched, a lot of this is going to come down to momentum. A lot of this is going to come down to who can take the lead first, or at least get an emotional lead ahead as far as who is dominating the game. Because I'll be honest, this is going to be yet another test that is going to challenge our defensive backs and is going to challenge the fortitude overall of what this team is capable of. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do, and I think this is going to work. Let me try this. 1 second, guys. Yeah, here we go. In the comments, I'm trying this out for the first time. We're going to see if this works. If you think the key to victory is the turnover battle, type hashtag turnovers in the chat. If you think the key is passing, efficient passing, getting our pass game going, hashtag passing in the comments. If you think no explosives is more critical, type in hashtag no explosives. And if you think it's just something else, if you think I'm just full of shit and you got all the answers, hashtag other, tell me what you think you're all about. So while you do that, let's go into my gambling habits. That's right, folks. You know the drill. It's Sourdeath Sam's $5 pick'em. I put down a little, I could win a lot. Do I usually? No. Have I sometimes? Yeah. So let me tell you what I got in store. I got Gus Edwards scoring a touchdown. He didn't get one last week. It's all good. I'm going to have him get one this week. This is his week. I feel it in my bones. Patrick Mahomes, 2 touchdowns. Seems likely. I think that game's going to be a shootout. We'll see, but obviously I got money on that idea. George Kittle, I got him scoring a receiving touchdown. It's rush or receiving, but, you know, if I have the option for both, why not? Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think he's going to get one eventually. I got him getting a touchdown. Same with David Montgomery. The reason why I picked 2 Lions there is because they had that little spicy chili icon. That's what adds a little multiplication of my money. It's nothing personal. I think Christian McCaffrey's probably going to get 1 or 2, but he ain't getting me more money, so I ain't putting him on there. Feel me?
Yes, sir.
If you want in on the action, bit.ly/Sourdeath Sam. That's bit.ly/Sourdeath Sam. Put your money in the game, but do not put more than you can afford to lose, because that would be irresponsible.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's see if this poll thing worked. Oh, it did. Wow, isn't that cool, guys? Look, technology. That's fucking sick. Okay, most of you guys think turnovers is what's going to be key. Oh, okay, now that you know it works, everyone's trying to hop in this shit. All right, still turnovers winning. And it looks almost 50-50 for turnovers and other. Let's see what other people are saying. Mike P says his other is Ambry Thomas not screwing around. Hey, brother. I kind of put that in the no explosives category, but you know the vibes. Let's see. Anyone else got an other in here? Anyone else? Efficient passing. Let's just pick up on what How About Them Niners is saying. Efficient passing. Turnovers are great, but you can still get 3 and outs. Got to be locked in on the pass game to win. They're a good run D. Yeah, they are. And guess what? Their pass D, not so much. Their pass D is vulnerable. In the last 2 games, their defense has allowed more than 340 yards. Now, in the last game as well, they got 2 interceptions against Baker Mayfield and the Bucs. Now, obviously, Baker Mayfield throwing a lot in the last game, but you can't just ignore 2 interceptions. But over the course of the season, the regular season, their pass defense was a little bit of a porous pass defense, which is why I think that is a very important ingredient to this recipe. So looks like No Explosives is beginning to take over. This is a fun little experiment. Thank you guys for chiming in. No Explosives. So initially we had turnover battle, and then ironically there was a turnover, and now we have No Explosives. So guys, appreciate you chiming in on that. But enough of this nerd shit, dude. It's time to bring in the big boys.
Yes, sir.
It's time to bring in the boss hogs. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce a friend of the show, a friend in real life, and an all-star homie who's rocking some very important shades tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Aponte. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What's up, bro? Thanks for hopping on.
Had to do it for Debo. Had to do it for Debo. Making sure we got Debo. Making sure we got Debo up there. That we got him up there. But is there any reason I hear myself? Is there any reason I hear myself? Is there any way to turn that off?
Oh, fuck, man. I got you.
Yeah.
I do this all the time. I in order for me to hold on. There you go. You should be fine.
Yeah, I am. I hate the sound of my own voice, by the way.
Okay.
But yeah, hey.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I go.
Trying to send good vibes to Debo with these glasses.
Yeah. So tell me the story about those again.
Okay, so right before the Los Angeles Rams game, I want to say in 2021, I do Gold Standard Podcast Network with Rob Guerrera. Rob says, hey, what's your address? I want to send you something. Oakley sent over these snazzy Debo Samuel Oakley shades, and he sent them over to me. And it's so funny. It was the game right before in which Debo goes crazy against the Los Angeles Rams and runs all through Jalen Ramsey. So they showed up right on time. And I only pull them out for big situations. This felt like one of them because we want to send Debo good vibes.
Yes,
Good
sir.
vibes, dude. Good vibes.
Yes, sir.
And not only the challenge here is not only is it important for him to arrive, it's important for him to arrive and kill it on the field. In fact, you know what? Let me just hop into that topic right now. Deep trouble. Obviously, a little bit of a question mark around Debo. Is he not? Some reports saying 50-50. Is he going to return in time for Sunday? Do you suspect? And if not, what then?
I think so. I mean, again, I'm not a doctor. You find out that there's no structural damage, and I think I kind of like how Kyle was playing it. Kind of reminded me of that Week 18 game against the Los Angeles Rams, in which Kyle knew that Jimmy was going to play all week, and everyone was like, "Oh, Trey Lance is going to start in the biggest game of the year," and he's like, I think it was Eric Branch who asked him a question about it. He was like, "I know what I'm doing, but I don't want to tell you about it." So when they asked Debo today, they asked him about what's the injury, and he said his shoulder hurts. So I kind of like that he's playing a little coy. He said that he's feeling better. Today was a walkthrough. So there was no pads, anything like that. So I think we're going to find out a little bit more tomorrow. But if I had to lean, I'm in the optimistic side of 80-85% for Debo.
Yeah, I agree. I think Debo, Debo shines in the bright lights. I think that he is always built for these moments. And I think that if it is any way humanly possible, which I think there is a way humanly possible, I think he is showing up. Obviously, you hope that he can be on the field, sustain that level of productivity, because as far as the question of if not, what then, you end up with Kittle and Jawan Jennings as your leading receivers for some reason last week. Obviously, there is such a dynamic, important factor of Debo when a defense is scheming against the 49ers. And obviously, if I'm Kyle, I'm not giving any insinuation as to whether or not you're supposed to game plan for him, because that's how dynamic he is. But with that being said, I suspect he's going to be there. I don't think we see Conley as much. Shout out to Conley, though. I mean, as far as a receiver who's not usually hitting the field, get in the field, was able to do enough to help us get that win. But at the end of the day, he is no Debo Samuel. and we need to make sure that we have our playmakers on the field if we're going to go against high octane that the Lions can possess when they are playing at a high level.
Yeah, and if you don't think he's important, look at how the play calling changes when Debo leaves the game. I mean, I love Kyle, but there is something to the idea of like everything shouldn't get all haywire because Debo Samuel's not there, and that's not me downplaying Debo. It's just you have other playmakers as well too. But I think the gravity of Debo, having him on the field, having him his presence, it just opens things up for everybody else. And at this point, you got 2 games left. It would be a tough pill to swallow if Debo's not going to be able to play in the game that gets you into the game. So yeah, I think he's going to gut it out. I don't know what the medical prognosis is in terms of how this works. Do you give him a shot? Is it a pain tolerance thing? Can he do more damage? I guess we'll find out little by little. But I'm optimistic, and from everything that everybody's been saying, it's been sounding good. So I'm just going to go with what people smarter than me are saying.
Yeah, that's what I always do. I ignore any instincts I have within myself and just listen to us, people who are smarter than me. And it's worked out
Vibes are
for me so
important, though.
far. Yeah. No, 100%. 100%. Vibes are critical. Let me ask you something. When you're watching the game, did it feel like there was a tale of two Purdy's? In my eyes, when I watched the game in the beginning, it felt there was a lot of questions about whether or not rust, as we'll call it, would be a factor in this game. It almost felt like it was perhaps a little combination of rust, a little combination of nerves, not having that consistency of momentum from just being from last week onto this week. Obviously, he had a chance to get healthier, but it felt like he kind of made his way into the groove just in time. Obviously, it was wet outside, and I don't think it's a conspiracy theory to suggest that Brock Purdy statistically has not had his best games in the rain. So you factor that in. When I finally got to sit down and watch the tape, it looked like there were great throws, there were mental errors, and there were slippery ball moments. And it felt like a perfect storm of all three. When you were watching the game live, when you had a chance to maybe review it a second time, what did you see with regards to Brock Purdy?
I think you said it perfectly. There's no one thing. I think all of those factors played into it. I also want to give credit to the Green Bay Packers because they had a hell of a game plan and they came out and they
Absolutely.
executed. They were able to get pressure. They were able to make things uncomfortable for these throws. He wasn't able to step up, make a lot of the throws. Some of the throws were missed because either the ball was slippery or he just outright missed, or the Packers did a good job of making him uncomfortable in the pocket. And then you're right, there are these throws that are just like, man, there it is, and you start to see him come out of it little by little. But when I watched it again, and I watched it again, and I watched it 3 times that night because I still had no idea how the 49ers got it done. Now, I got to sit with the all 22.
Mhm.
You have to be impressed. And I would point to how many quarterbacks have had 3 bad quarters and found a way to get that game winning drive and then nobody remembered. I think people forget in 1981, before Dwight Clark
Mm.
had the catch, Joe Montana had 3 interceptions and a fumble in that game. Wonder what Twitter was saying about him that entire game. Oh, that's right. There was no social media back then. People had a bit more of a level head. And how many times did Tom Brady in his career have games where he threw 3 interceptions? And I could think back to the last time he played Green Bay in the NFC Championship, and they found a way to win. It's all over for many quarterbacks. Many quarterbacks have had poor games through that game. Wouldn't say he had a poor game; he just missed some opportunities. But when you have a chance to finish the game off, and you do, I think all that other stuff just gets thrown to the side. And we probably would have been saying some of those other things like about that Cleveland game if the Jake Moody kick happened. So I think it was important for
Mm.
everyone to see that he's able to shake off this game. He's able to shake off a few misses and then finish when he's given the chance. So I think again, tough week for the narratives. Kyle came back, Purdy leads a game-winning drive. It's kind of hard. Everybody's kind of scrambling right now, and a lot of people are out here looking dumb because they're trying to go back to a tape that they had, as opposed to being objective and saying, "Yeah, he missed some throws, but you got to be impressed with the way he finished that game."
100%. 100%. I mean, honestly, when I watch a playoff performance of a young player, and maybe if things are not all going their way, the question in my mind always ends up with how do they respond? Do they get overwhelmed and crumble? do they rise to the occasion and deliver? And what we saw is we saw Brock Purdy rise to the occasion and deliver. People keep forgetting, I mention it all the time on the show. We are not many games beyond what would be a rookie slate of games for Brock Purdy. He is still in a very, very infantile stage of what one would be a long, healthy career. And so when you see him go through the struggles that he went through early, which, by the way, were dotted with a lot of dimes, frankly, it wasn't like every throw was a mess. We were worrying if we need to put someone else in. At the end of that game, he proved that the cojones that we have seen all year still rest between his legs. He is capable of delivering, and he is capable of.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Our biggest question was answered. Look, the first field goal, obviously there were hands on it. The second goal is what we needed. I'm speaking in a Jake, sit here and listen to it. If you're going to get your first kick blocked, already mentally, you're thinking, oh God, oh God, oh God. And for him to step up to the plate for that second kick and hit it, it felt like we were still destined to carry on when I saw that. And frankly, it gave me a lot more confidence in Jake Moody. Not to say if he steps up to the plate with 2 seconds left to win the game that I won't be nervous, but the skepticism meter is beginning to tilt back into his favor. And that's just what happens when you put results on tape.
The thing is I'll say I have less of a problem with Jake Moody missing that kick and more about the way Kyle Shanahan went about trying to set Jake Moody up for that kick at the half. You have all your timeouts. You have a chance to double dip, and it was unfair to him to put him out there for that when you definitely didn't make any effort to move closer and closer to either make the kick easier or possibly go for the touchdown. And just the time management was much more troubling. That kick was probably going to go into the tunnel most likely, but I'm not going to sit here and bash the kid because he made the other kick, the 50-yarder that you really needed. But I have much more problems with him missing than I do like with Kyle for the way he handled that second half, that second quarter. Because the reason you want them to have the ball first is so you can have the ball at the end of the half and then double dip again. But yet playing conservative like that again just was one of those moments where love Kyle, love him so much, but you just playing not to lose. And again, it's just I understand Debo's not there. I understand the weather's slippery, all those things, but there still has to be a little bit more of aggressiveness. And I understand you don't want to give the ball back to them as well too, but that kind of just felt like the cherry on top of something that I disagreed with. And it was kind of fitting that he missed it. Not that I wanted him to miss it, but it just highlights that's why those aren't chip shots. There are no gimmies, and you should be playing a little bit more aggressive, Kyle. Like, come on, buddy, let's go, get into it, like a little bit more. Just a little, you have all these weapons still. You still have an offense that should be able to move the football. Don't get complacent like that. It's something that kind of just is baffling at times with Kyle Shanahan.
Great point. Great point. I mean, at the end of the day, Jake Moody is not Robbie Gould. You got to put him in a position where either he can be a little bit closer or just use better instincts. It kind of felt like some of that game it didn't feel like Kyle's smoothest game, but also again, there were so many pieces in play as far as what could be going wrong, and it was really tough to say.
Yeah.
I want to move on to the main event here, which is taming the Lions. We have a very potent matchup offensively. When you look at this combination of offenses,
You there? My bad. Is
Can't
that me
tell.
or you?
Am I cutting out?
Yeah, like it looks like you, but I think it could be me. I'm not sure. I'm just trying to figure it out. I can see you now. Oh, okay. I'm glad I'm clear because I steal my internet from my neighbor. Shh, don't tell them. So that's impressive for me.
Yep.
All right, there you are.
Hi.
You good? So say the question one more time. It just
Okay.
cut
I
out
don't
right
know
there.
where we left off, but yeah, my bad. So, matchup 49ers Lions. Where do you see the vulnerabilities? Where are the opportunities? Who
Mhm.
walks away with the victory and why?
The vulnerabilities are Jared Goff. You can't allow him to stand in the pocket and stand clear and make those throws. I mean, they've got too many weapons. They have an offense that has guys running around wide open the entire time. He's been very good, but we all know pressure him, get in his face. It's going to be very tough. The Lions have an offensive line that's very good. Early in the season, the run defense for the Detroit Lions was very good, but the last few weeks it has been a little bit leaky. But having said that, this still feels like a game where the 49ers are going to attack the secondary. Um, with CJ Gardner Johnson back, you can bet that if Debo's playing and Kyle has him, that he's going to find a way to kind of victimize him a little bit just for that. So it's got to be in the secondary. It's got to be controlling the ball, not turning the ball over, but getting in the face of Jared Goff and not allowing him to have time to pick them apart because he doesn't present nearly the challenge that Jordan Love does, moving from the pocket and going and running around and making plays. It's just not his strong suit. But if he's allowed to stand in the pocket, clean pocket, no pressure, he's going to pick you apart because they do have guys that can get open and they have an offensive scheme that's very good.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see Nick Bosa get a sack, man.
Yeah.
5 quarterback hits in the last game, no sack, and obviously pressure's pressure, man. Nick Bosa clearly was putting the most heat on Jordan Love last week, but at the end of the day, get him to the ground and let's get a little support. Let's not have it just be Bosa and, a Kinlaw one-off coming in there. Let's really bring the heat. I would love to see a defensive line unit that looks as formidable as it did in 2019. And I think some of us thought we were back in that category. I don't know if we're there anymore, but we certainly need to put more heat onto the grill with respect to getting these quarterbacks at least on the ground once. And I completely agree. The turnover battle, if we can get in Jared's face, we might be able to get a similar situation to what we had with Jordan Love. Let's not kid ourselves. Those 2 interceptions may have been the difference in the game last week. Because honestly, if it wasn't for those momentum shifting moments, I'm not certain we would have pulled that victory off. And I don't think our offense is going to be as stagnant as it was against Green Bay. But that's not to say that the Lions can't be even more powerful than what Green Bay was ready to put up with us at Levi's last week.
100%. And I mean, so many of those chunk plays that Green Bay had were from like guys slipping. There were penalties that had a bunch of drives that kept going, right? So I mean, you can at least look at it and say that, right? Like it wasn't like, oh my God, they just can't stop them. By the way, Aaron Jones is a phenomenal running back who's been on a heater as well too. But turnovers are always going to be the way that you win games, and it's going to be always the way that momentum shifts happen. You get yourself some short fields, you get yourself 7 points off of a turnover. It's about converting those turnovers. So it's going to be very interesting. The reason that you want to get on Jared Goff, obviously you want the pressure because you can get tip passes, interceptions, possibly fumbles, and just overall just misses on and get off the field on third down, those type of things. So it's going to be all about that. You can say that every single week, making sure that you get to pressure. The pressure on quarterback is going to be, the key. But it seems like it's very important against Jared Goff because Jared Goff is someone who can be rattled, and nobody knows that more than the 49ers do, as they, got a pretty good lengthy time facing him. So yeah, it's got to be making Jared Goff uncomfortable, not allowing that offense to get into a flow with the running game, and making sure that he's always under pressure because you want to try to take advantage of some poor throws.
Let me ask you something. Does it give you any comfort that this game is against someone who hasn't been a Shanahan staff cinematic universe person? Is there like a little piece of you that is relieved that someone who doesn't know the intricacies of Shanahan's brain, like say the Packers or the Rams, is who we are up against this week? Does that give you any comfort?
A little bit, but I will say this: when it comes to the offenses across the league, whether you are from the Shanahan tree or whether you're running something, if not everything, that they're running. Like,
Mm.
a lot of the things that the Lions like to run are mesh concepts, rub routes, things like that. They try to get, Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's phenomenal, all pro. He's in the slot 50% of the time, outside 50% of the time. It's all about creating those matchups. Ben Johnson's about as close as it gets to like a Kyle Shanahan. Now, in terms of like knowing, I mean, in terms of like the scheme, like don't conflate that and get all mad, and say, oh, well, he said he's Kyle Shanahan. No, what I mean is everybody in one form or fashion is running Kyle stuff. Like, and it's all across the league. It's a copycat league, but it's really just about him not knowing, right? Like LaFleur knows he's gonna clam up, like or like Joe Barry knows what Kyle was thinking, like in certain situations. I don't know if we'll have that, but I do think you're gonna see a lot of things that are similar in that offense, and I think that's what makes this so interesting is that this offense runs so many of those Shanahan concepts in terms of routes and the way that they run the ball that you may start to think that Ben Johnson is a Kyle Shanahan disciple because of the way that they play. And he took so many of the things that worked for Jared Goff in Los Angeles and implemented it in Detroit to make sure that he's comfortable. And I think that is a sign of a great coach. It's not just my scheme and just run it. It's, well, can I implement some things that you're comfortable with while implementing my scheme? That's good coaching right there. And that's why Ben Johnson's going to be a head coach.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the hottest coaching prospects out there right now. Now, let me ask you this. Who or what part of the 49ers scares you the most going into this matchup?
I think it's got to be the pass rush now. Just because of what you said, it's how do you create the pressure, right? And the Green Bay Packers have a great offensive line, but I'll tell you what, the Detroit Lions are missing their guard, but Ragnall's going to play. He's a little banged up. They're better than Green Bay. They've got some dogs. Like Taylor Decker's a
Mhm.
dog. Penei Sewell's a dog. How? What do you do now to get this pass rush going? Is it just sending four? Is it some stunts? Is it sending extra guys? It's going to be so interesting to figure out if you send someone from the back end who's helping cover some of these weapons and you don't get there, now you don't have the numbers on the other end to cover everybody, and now guys are running open. So that chess match of how do you get pressure? Is it just, hey, go get them with four, or go send one, two, do you blitz a little bit more? I think that's really going to be interesting to me. The pass rush has to be the part that scares me a little bit more than the secondary because for everything that happened in this game, and the Packers were just sending whoever was on Embry Thomas' side and saying, we're going to throw you the football. Like, this wasn't a situation where Devontae Adams was over there and they were like, well, we're going to get the ball to Devontae. It was Jaden Reed. It was Christian
Mhm.
Watson. It was Romeo Dobbs. Anybody who was over on that side, we're going to throw the ball. But Demo's a dog. Mooney's been playing well. I mean, Gibson had the penalty. I think for the most part, the secondary, and aside from Logan Ryan, like missing tackles, which I still don't understand why he's not playing. He's playing over Jair Brown.
Yeah.
Uh, it's I have less concerns about that back end portion because it doesn't matter how good your secondary is. If you're not getting to the quarterback and you have 4 and 5 seconds on the back end, nobody's going to be able to cover. But when I was looking back at the game, I just saw a lot of slips, a lot of falls, a lot of little things that can be attributed to the field. It's not going to be raining on Sunday, so I expect those things to be cleaned up.
Totally. And, this has all the makings of being a very, if not the most important moment for Steve Wilkes of the year, because this matchup an offensive, is a defensive nightmare if you're not ready for it, because they put up yards. They're one of the most prolific passing teams of the year. And if you are not prepared with a rush that can get into Jared Goff's head, then you certainly are praying to God that your secondary is capable of containing an all-pro receiver, a fantastic tight end, a burner, and several players that have delivered when they needed to deliver. So we're going to see how Steve Wilkes, provides his own signature on this defense on Sunday. But I will say the Jair Brown situation is very interesting. I wonder if they saw something in practice or on tape that led them to believe that they were going to be way too vulnerable if they kept him in there. But I don't know. The missed tackles was concerning.
I'm not sure. Look, Jair Brown, yeah, sure, there's things that he needs to clean up. He's a rookie, clearly. But I didn't see anything that was like, "Oh my god, it's too big for him. Like he can't get this done. He's not good enough for the moment." I mean, literally the guy who went down, Hufanga, literally made some of those same similar plays in terms of ball bounces up in the air and guess who's there? It's Brown. And even in that first Tampa game when he was thrown into the fire, had to cover Mike Evans at the red zone, gets the interception, gets another interception while he's playing. Didn't really miss so many tackles. That missed tackles thing was very, blown out of proportion. Didn't really give up too many plays. I think it was one or two. But again, this feels like Kyle Shanahan just said, "Hey, he's a veteran, and I'm going to play Logan Ryan." And it's just like, dude, I understand that because you want that experience, and Logan Ryan's played in Super Bowls and big games, but he may not play as fast downhill as Jair Brown, and I'm not sure that Jair Brown would have taken that poor angle on that Aaron Jones long run, which left like a canyon for him to run through. So it's tough. I don't want to be the one who's like having to make this decision, but I didn't see anything from Jair Brown that would have required him to not play like at all, even when he was fully healthy. It was a little bit of a shock for me, but again, I think this is the old Kyle and his veterans thing, over trusting a rookie in the biggest game of the season.
I agree. It'll be interesting to see if there's any sort of changes there in the next game. I don't imagine there would be. I think they're going to stick to their guns. But yeah, I mean, this guy was on a fucking cruise ship like a few months ago. Let's factor in that Jair Brown has been, in the trenches with these guys since the summer. So we'll see. I'm very curious to see how that goes. Do you have a score prediction on this?
I do. 38-20, no, 31-24 49ers. It's going to come down to either a stop or they get it done at the end of the game, but I think they're going to find a way to score points. Especially when you look at the way that the secondary's built. The 49ers, if they're fully healthy with Debo and everything, there's going to be no more rain, no more excuses. I don't expect Brock is going to miss that many opportunities. I don't think the windows are going to be as tight this game. I think that we forget that Jair Alexander is really good as well, too, and that the Green Bay Packers have some edge rushers. I mean, I know that Aiden Hutchinson is a dog, but just watch out for the spin move. He's gonna spin 3 times like Sonic or whatever, and then just make sure you get him down to the ground, and you should be all right, Colt McKivitz. That one's for you. But I do think the 49ers score 31, and they finish, and they only give up 24, and they'll be heading to Las Vegas.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I got 24-27 Jake Moody game winner. You heard it here first. Jake Moody is going to send us to the Super Bowl. We're all going to sit by the TV. We're going to be in our group chat. It's going to be like, "Oh fuck, man. Oh fuck, man." And he's going to hit it. And he's going to hit it. And they're going to lift him up.
That first field goal, that whole group chat was like, "There's no way he makes this kick. Like, no chance."
But he's gonna hit one earlier in the game, and he's gonna hit the game winner, and he's gonna get carried off the fucking field.
Yes, sir.
Please don't come down to that. My heart will be able to take it.
All right, but that's what's gonna make it so dramatic. 24-27 Jake Moody game winner.
I love it. All
right, I have let me get your playoff predictions of obviously I know your 49ers won. Let me get, who do you think is going to win the Chiefs game? Chiefs Ravens.
Lamar Jackson, this is your time. You have to save us. You have to save us, Lamar Jackson. No pressure, buddy. What scares me the most about this game is this. This is the best defense Patrick Mahomes has ever had. Regardless of what you think about the offense may not be like high flying anymore, but their defense is really good now.
Yeah.
And that's how you find yourself like, "Oh, wow, how are they in the AFC Championship game?" Because they have a really good defense, and Patrick Mahomes is still really good, and Andy Reid's a good coach. And it's just they're doing it in a different way now, and that scares me. The thing that scares me the most is this. if the Ravens win this game, then obviously you're scared because you know what the Ravens are and how they've looked, and they've been incredible. You know, Lamar Jackson's going to be the MVP, and the 49ers will get their second crack at it. But if the Kansas City Chiefs win in Baltimore, oh no, doesn't that feel like like there's something going on out there in Kansas City, and you don't like. It's obviously going to be one of them, but that Kansas City game scares the hell out of me. I'm just going to go with my heart. Lamar Jackson, save us. Save us, Lamar Jackson. You're our final hope. Because if not, it's going to be 2 weeks. 2 weeks of all those Chiefs players. I'm not even going to say the other person's name, but we've got to end this nightmare. Let's end it now. End it. I'm done. It's over. Please
I
end
need
it.
it, dude. I need it, dude. I'm gonna say it's Baltimore. I feel like they feel like a team of destiny right now. I think the Chiefs, those sons of bitches, man, they are back. Like they're not going anywhere. Like they depleted their offense, but their quarterback is so damn good, and the relationship with their with his tight end is so magical that they're able to carry the offense effectively on their own shoulders. And behind our backs, they built a defense that was actually capable of supporting on the other end. But I don't think it's enough. I think Baltimore wins, and we're going to see if that comes true, because if it's the fucking Chiefs, man, and we're in the Super Bowl, oh my God, the triggering, it's going to be overwhelming. All right, last topic. This one is very special.
Oh, yeah.
Harbaugh back in the NFL. Dude, I've been waiting for this moment for so long. I love Harbaugh so damn much. He was the most intriguing, interesting, exciting coach I have ever seen on the 49ers. Look, Kyle Shanahan is just different, right? Like Kyle Shanahan, I love in a different way. But as far as emotional attachment, there is nobody who captivated my heart more than Jim Harbaugh. How do you feel about his return back to the NFL and his fit with his new team?
Ah, man, I love Jim Harbaugh. Let's get the band together. Vic, head on down to Los Angeles. Greg Roman, you're fucking hired. Jeepers Chris, you're fucking hired. Let's get the whole band back together. But he does have a special place for 49ers, and I don't understand when people don't understand why we still have something for him. Um, when he took over the team was like this close, right? They were this close, not from a winning standpoint, but they had the roster. And then he did something like turn Alex Smith into a starter, make him viable. And now he is gonna go over, and then they just won a bunch of games, right? Like, and it just started this new era of the 49ers like rolling on people, and they gravitated towards his attitude, right? The Tony Montana squad, and we got so many of these elite players, and Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis and Vernon Davis, and then you got your fun people on the team like Blake Costanzo and Anthony Dixon, and the whole team just felt fun, right? And they felt new because the 49ers hadn't been good for a while, and now he leaves Michigan after winning. Maybe he left because there's some sanctions or something coming down, and he's just like, all right, I got my chip. I'm getting the fuck out of here, and I'm going back to the league. Um, but Justin Herbert couldn't ask for anybody else who's going to believe in him more. And that team is going to get a culture shock because he's not Brandon Staley, and he's not anybody else that's been there as a head coach. Guys are going to run through a wall for him. It's a new time in Los Angeles, and I wish Jim Harbaugh nothing but the best. Hopefully, we'll see you in the Super Bowl next year, buddy. But yeah, man, it's really fun. Anytime that Jim Harbaugh is involved in anything, 49er fans got to be involved because we're the only team that he ever coached. And I think there's a little bit of a sour taste in Harbaugh fans, 49ers fans' mouths about how his time ended.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, they finished 8-8 that season. It was a little heartbreaking to kind of see him say goodbye to everybody, knowing that was his last game because they had already announced it. Everything was weird at that time. It's just a sign of like before he got there, what it looked like, and then right after what it looked like. And sandwich in the middle of that is those Harbaugh years that are so precious to us. So yeah, that's why we'll always have something for him because it was so hard until we found Kyle. It's literally been Harbaugh and Kyle have been the ones who have been successful recently for the 49ers.
Totally. And I'm actually trying to think. I don't know. What was it? You who interviewed Joe Staley?
That was Javi.
Javi had done an interview with Joe Staley, and Joe Staley effectively was like going through describing the different coaching experiences. For the record, Joe Staley said that Kyle Shanahan was his favorite coach. I think he said it was his favorite coach he's ever had. I don't know if that was just in the pros, but at least in the pros, his favorite coach he ever had. The one thing I'm interested to see with the Harbaugh experience, and look, this does not affect me because I get to watch him on TV coaching NFL football, which makes me fucking thrilled. But one thing I have noticed, I've heard it from his Stanford days. I heard it from his 49ers days, effectively from Joe Staley himself, that it seems like the bit can wear down players after 4 years. And I don't say bit to insinuate that it is disingenuous. This is Jim Harbaugh every moment of his life. But the Jim Harbaugh experience can wear down a team after, say, 3 or 4 years. So that's one thing I'm curious to see. The one thing you can count on is he's going to walk into that building and it's going to be magnetic. Like it's going to be similar to Dan Campbell, but like with like way more screws loose. Like similar in the sense that
way more screws loose.
Oh, 100%. Like his charisma, his ability, his competitive energy, like all of these things are so captivating because they are not disingenuous. Like this is completely who this guy is. And he is just the right amount of like kind of dad grandpa style of humor and just like thought process. And he's just an encyclopedia of war knowledge. Like he is one of one.
He believes Jesus Christ is a first round talent.
Yeah. Which like respect, you could turn water into wine. Like let's really look at the tape, see what else you can do. But I am curious to see what the shelf life is of him in LA with the Chargers, because no matter what, it's going to start off really well, I think. The question is how far can he take this team? If he wins a Super Bowl, I don't think it matters. I think if you're not with the program and he's won a Super Bowl, you're not a part of the culture anymore. How do you feel about the grading down on the team matter? Because I know you've heard this too.
No, absolutely. It's almost like you got a 3-year window to get it done before. It's not that it doesn't wear thin. It's just hard, and you see it happening, right? Because he is a personality who is hard, right? Like, and he can rub people the wrong way sometimes. And I think that's kind of what you saw, right? Like, what was it? He told Jed York to get out of the meeting. It's only for men. Like,
yeah, it's for men only. Yeah, that's a part of my
men
intro.
only. Like, you told the owner of the team this for men only. Like, you literally deep-pantsed him in front of the entire team. Like, it's little things like that. But you can mask all that by winning. And if you do win, then people will just say it's cool. But if you get close and you're not winning, or if things aren't working, then you have this personality that's very brash, and then you have the non-winning. And that's kind of when you're going to get to that spot where you're just like, yeah, you know what? I think it's time for us to split.
And you know what I wonder? And I wonder if there's been any sort of retrospective acknowledgement of maybe some of the mistakes he made. And not even pertaining to Jed York, because honestly, that story is fucking hilarious.
It is.
But like, I wonder if like he's had an opportunity. It's been 9 years, I believe, since he's left. And I'm sure over that period of time, he has had a chance to sort of meditate on that experience he had in the NFL and think about things he would have wanted to do differently. I imagine that this conversation is something that they talked about in the interview. If there's one thing, if there's one prescription if there's one piece of advice you could give Jim Harbaugh, what would it be?
Learn from your mistakes, but stay you.
Yeah.
Don't change what's secret. But there are things that you can change that'll make you better, and I think you understand what that is. And a little bit of some of the things that happened with the 49ers is that they ran rampant with extracurricular things like guys getting in trouble off the field type thing, right? And I think that's something that he's got to learn from, because that's a little bit of it where it's like it's chaotic when some of your starters are running into people's houses and beating up old men, and like the Bruce Miller and
Totally.
the brass knuckles thing and all those other things, right? The DUIs, all that stuff. You've gotta be able to evaluate talent, but evaluate who you're bringing into your building and control all of those things. So there's a little bit of things for him to clean up. 100%. Again, winning masks it all, but yeah, he's definitely got some things to fix. And in terms of that, it's building that culture, making sure that guys understand that, you can't mess around. Like, we're all dedicated to doing this. There will be no tolerating anything off the field, anything like that. And also, maybe, stay you, but don't rub people the wrong way. That's basically what I would say.
I mean, that's spot on. I mean, really the only thing I would add to that is just hoping that he is in tune with the emotional intelligence that comes with managing these grown men who are not college kids anymore, and knowing that he can still be a dog, and he can still have high expectations, and he can still demand that those expectations be met with every fiber of every player's being. But I think my hope is that he has learned enough through his experience coaching in the NFL, into Michigan, back into NFL, where he is ready and willing to accept that there is somewhat of a changing of the guard with respect to like the old school football universe and the new school football universe. And if he is able to find the sort of cerebral balance between both of those universes, I think he seats himself into a very special place where I think he'll not only be able to deliver that hard-nosed football style that I know is very signature to him, but also be able to have longevity with respect to his players being able to sort of tolerate the Jim Harbaugh cinematic universe.
100%.
Any last thoughts on the topic before we go on to affirmations?
No, good luck, Jim. Give him hell. Bring back the khakis. And to Axel's point, I'm gonna cry when he slaps Herbert's shoulder pads for the first time. Every time I saw him do it with JJ McCarthy or another quarterback, I was just like, I really do miss that, and I'm sure Alex Smith does too. So, yeah, man, a lot of good moments, and they're all flooding right back now to me as we're talking about Jim Harbaugh. But go give him hell, coach. Go get him.
Give him hell, man. That's so real. The shoulder pad slaps, like it's like being knighted into a Jim Harbaugh game. You know what I mean? Like instead of the sword, it's just it's like
so
insane.
Good. He just believes in you.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, when I saw him change Alex Smith, I was like, God bless you. All right, now for the moment that nobody is waiting for, we are going to get into affirmations. For those who don't know, affirmations is a moment where me and my co-host, my guest, whatever you want to call it, say nice things about a player, a staff member, anybody really, and we get to do it live in front of you guys. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, why don't you go first?
Sure. Kyle Shanahan. They said that you couldn't win a game in the fourth quarter. 7-point lead in the fourth quarter, whatever it is, whatever stat they've cherry picked. Well, let's check that one off. Okay, let's get that one out of here. But Kyle, I know that we laugh sometimes at other coaches when they're too aggressive. Sometimes Dan Campbell does something that's a little bit crazy. Sometimes, Brandon Staley would go for it every fourth down. I just need you to believe in yourself a little bit more because you are great. And I think you do know you have the offense to operate. Everything doesn't have to be so conservative. I'd like to see you just a little bit more, be a little bit more aggressive, believe in yourself because you are special. And you have a chance to do something very special. And I, for one, would love to see you win your Super Bowl ring because the amount of cockiness and arrogance in the press conferences will be through the roof, and you will absolutely condescend every single question that comes your way, and I am here for it. Kyle Shanahan, you have a chance to do something special because you are very special. Just got to believe in yourself a little bit more because we believe in you.
So real. Nick Bosa, your moment has arrived. I think there are opportunities for players to make statements in games that seal the deal. In Defensive Player of the Year, Nick Bosa, with a brand new contract, this is your moment. Strike fear into Jared Goff's brain like I know you can. Are you scared of this vaulted offensive line? No. You're fucking Nick Bosa. You're the person that they lose sleep over at night.
Sourdeath Sam.
I am counting on you. No, I believe in you that you are capable of going all out and dominating the mental game inside of Jared Goff's brain and force him into mistakes. I believe in you, and I know you can do it.
You doing one or?
You go ahead and do one more.
Okay, one more. Brock Purdy. Buddy, I don't care where people rank you. You shouldn't care where they rank you. You have a chance to do the funniest thing ever. Knock off a number 1 pick player and then one of 2 former MVPs. And then let everybody else lose their mind about where you are. Just play football, man. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about what anybody says. I believe in you. You're still the right guy for the job. I was so impressed with the way that you bounced back. Dealing with adversity is not something that you just have to do in football, but in life. And you showed in the biggest game that you did something that nobody thought they could, that you could. Oh, you can't let him have the ball in his hands at the end of the game? Sorry. Let's check that one off as well, too. Brock Purdy, I believe in you, and you're special as well.
Yes, sir.
So real. Obviously, quick affirmation to Jake Moody. I always give you one. I believe in you. I love you. And I always especially need to give you affirmations when Jason is here. Yeah, man. You had a rough go in the beginning. A little people got too handsy with your kick, but it's okay. You came in the clutch. And if anyone heard my score prediction, they will know that you are going to be the reason at the end of the day we make the Super Bowl. So I love you. I believe in you. And God bless. I gotta fade up the music. What?
That voiceover.
I had so I had so much fun making that, dude. Where are you watching the game? You watching at home?
Oh yeah. I don't watch 49ers games with anybody. I don't want people to think I'm a weirdo. I spent the entirety of that Green Bay game silent, not saying anything, shaking, sweating. And then when it was over, just this sigh of relief, and I ran to do the post game. But that's usually what I just sit right here on my bed, watch the game. But yeah, I can't watch 49ers games with people. I just can't, because I don't want to look like a weirdo.
I can't blame you, man. I can't blame you. I need to be somewhat in the privacy in my own home. I yelled too much. Well, I can't tell if it's my service. Oh, there I am. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. I always do.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it, dog. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Jason Aponte. Jason Aponte, thanks for hopping on, brother. All right, let me sign this off, guys. Thank you. By the way, if you're still watching, I am so close to 400 subscribers. Like, just to kind of give me a nice round number. Just if you like what I'm doing, subscribe. Be nice. I'm at 394. If 6 of you subscribe, I'm in a good place mentally. My goal is to get to 500 before the end of the year. I don't know if it's going to happen, but it's okay. If I just get that like 6, I'm chilling. I'm good. And aside from that, thank you all for watching regardless. I really appreciate all the time that you guys commit to watching me do my thing here. I know I sort of give you guys all the, hoopla, kumbaya stuff at the end, but it really is very nice to have you guys here. This is my 21st show, which is crazy. I used to get so nervous before I would come on and do these. And now I just, I'm just happy to be here. No nerves, just vibes. So, guys, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I will see you guys next week as we move along to a very important, very interesting matchup against either the the Ravens or the Chiefs. So see you guys soon. God bless.